I want to start with Kanye West. I've got to say, personally, I know that you've had a good relationship with him. You've talked to him and so on.
Okay, so first I just want to say that I definitely told your producers that I didn't want to speak about Ye, but it's totally fine if you want to ask me the question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. That wasn't communicated to me,
yeah.
but if you don't mind, I'd just be curious about your view.
There's something about the entire world having commentary about Kanye when he tweets, and that exact same part of the world telling us that we have to remain mum when Bibi Netanyahu literally goes DEFCON 3, but Kanye tweets something about DEFCON 3. That just makes me uncomfortable and feels really disingenuous.
I mean, this is him doing, Ku Klux Klan imagery with swastikas.
Yeah, but it's just interesting that of the two things you chose to lean into Jewish people and not to speak about what the Klansmanhood represents. I've always maintained is that Andrew Tate and his brother were actually a response to a misandrist culture, women that hated men.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Right Point of View YouTube channel with your favorite host, Ashley, and I'm back with another video. And this one really excites me because we all love Candace Owens, and if you don't, you need to have your head checked. But Candace Owens takes on Piers Morgan once again, and they have a little sparring over Kanye, but also get into some other things, and we're going to get into it. The video starts now.
Good to have you on. So much to talk to you about. Let's start with Kanye West. I've got to say, personally, I know that you've had a good relationship with him. You've talked to him and so on, as I have done. I interviewed him. Try to give him a bit of benefit of the doubt over various things. I got to say, his sort of brazen stuff now on a daily, sometimes minute-by-minute basis on X with the swastikas, the Nazis, and so on. I just find it utterly repellent. Has anything he's been doing in the last 2-3 weeks changed your mind about what's going on here with him?
Okay, so first I just want to say that I definitely told your producers that I didn't want to speak about Ye, but it's totally fine if you want to ask me the question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. That wasn't communicated to me, but if you don't mind, I'd just be curious about your view.
Yeah, sure. So my view has been pretty consistent in that when you have a real relationship with someone, you shouldn't be lashing them in the public for anything. There's something about the entire world having commentary about Kanye when he tweets, and that exact same part of the world telling us that we have to remain mum when Bibi Netanyahu literally goes DEFCON 3, but Kanye tweets something about DEFCON 3. That just makes me uncomfortable and feels really disingenuous. And like I said, when you have an actual relationship with someone, if you have anything to say to them, you should say that to that person directly. And so I'm just not going to partake in this sort of like Judas culture of stabbing people in the front when you have a real relationship with them. And I've maintained that consistently, and I'm not going to break that code today.
So just quickly, shame on Piers Morgan. Honestly, I think you definitely know his producers told him that she did not want to touch on Kanye or Ye, and he just decided to poke the bear anyway because it's Candace Owens and she's openly had a close relationship with him, even back some of his causes like the White Lives Matter and other things like that, Donald Trump and all that stuff. But you obviously knew that he knew, but he brought it up anyway. And with such grace and poise, she says, listen, I'm not going to give my friend a public lynching. And while I know a lot of people brought up in the comments, I saw a lot of people bringing up the LeBron James with the P. Diddy, and she's like calling for him to make a public statement against his friend. Well, I would say it's still different. And the reason is because Candace Owens has taken the position that she feels Kanye has been MK Ultra'd, allegedly. And, a lot of people, this is a known thing in Hollywood that when you are not behaving and they want to get you in line, I mean, you have the famous text that Kanye exposed with, I think his name was Scooter Braun, who's supposed to be an athletic trainer of some kind. And instead he said, if you don't get in line, basically, and this meeting doesn't go the way that I think it should go, you'll be zapped to zombie land forever, which nobody even batted an eyelash. Nobody thought that was crazy. It just got swept under the rug. So Candace recognizes that Kanye is battling a totally different beast than the average person, than the LeBrons and the whomever. So I think what she is basically trying to say is this is a very special situation that I am not willing to get myself involved in publicly. Doesn't mean she doesn't have her opinions privately, but she's not jumping on the bandwagon of some of the elites and the very, uh, those types of people in Hollywood and these machines that are behind this thing against Kanye. So I think that's what she was trying to aim to. And I have to say, I agree.
I mean, some would say, look, I just want to play this clip and get your response to this. I mean, this is him doing, Ku Klux Klan imagery with swastikas. And so it's so brazen. It's so taunting. And you talk about people who are directly attacking people. He's directly attacking Jewish people when he does this and making them feel extremely uncomfortable, extremely threatened by this, because he's got 32 million people following him on X alone. His social media firepower to galvanize hate against the Jewish people is being laid bare, isn't it, in real time?
Just a question for you. When you saw the Klansman hoodie, why did you say taunting against Jewish people but didn't mention anything about Black people? Yeah, but it's just interesting that of the two things you chose to lean into Jewish people and not to speak about what the Klansman hood represents.
Well, both. Let's say both. I mean, they're both, the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan were both despicable people who targeted certain members of society and wanted to cause them enormous harm, if not kill them. And that's
yeah, I know.
why people are finding what he's doing.
That, like, when I saw the image, I thought you were going to say something about Black America and maybe speak about the fact that Kanye's Black, but you just instantly went to accusing or speaking about how Jewish people felt about it. I think that's interesting. I just find that response to be interesting.
Candace, he's literally selling swastikas.
Yeah, Piers, if you would like to provide commentary on... if you want to provide commentary on Ye, I have maintained I'm not going to participate in Judas culture. I don't believe in the emphasis that has been placed on me, knowing that I have a personal relationship with him, to throw him under the bus publicly. It's not.
So I think she makes a great argument here, because why is it that, and I love it, all people. I'm not on this bandwagon of a lot of what Kanye is doing and saying, even though some parts of it I do understand his frustration from, with his kids and, some of the machines behind the music industry and whatever group they're associated with, I don't think is as relevant as the overall message he's trying to push. However, it is interesting, I find, that Piers Morgan, he says, oh, he's selling swastikas. Yeah, well, he's also selling these hooded jumpsuits. Why was that the first thing that you went to? How come it's always that this threshold for Black America versus, Israel or Jews always seems to be not at an even playing field? I think it's all wrong. It's definitely not something he should be promoting on either end, but it's always the case that it's more wrong when it's someone else. And in the same argument you have all the time, Kanye West has brought this up himself. People have an issue with this, but take no issue with Black people, rappers and singers degrading themselves, calling each other bitches and hoes, and literal drill music where rappers are actually glorifying killing each other, going to each other's grave sites to rap over it. Nobody bats an eyelash for how cruel and disgusting those things are, but he posts a swastika and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? I just think it's kind of weird. And he's a Black man, so why wouldn't you lean more toward, if he would do it to his own people, then it seems like everybody's up for grabs. You know what I mean? And again, I think it's all wrong. But I just think, where is the outrage when some of the other stuff for Black America and Black communities and these influences that have been very harmful, just like the Holocaust was very harmful to the Jewish community, so are these things, and they're still going. But yet nobody has anything to say about that. I think that's very weird, but we'll go on.
Not the person that I am spiritually, and I'm just not going to partake in it. And I've not moved on that 1 inch. And in fact, as time goes by, I feel stronger and stronger. that I should not participate in that culture because there seems to be something sadistic about the entire world condemning someone and then an individual saying, well, I need you to do it, Candace, because you have a personal relationship with him. It's strange.
Actually, you know what? We're going to move on. And I wasn't even aware you didn't want to talk about it.
Any person in the entire world that will come onto your platform and say something about Ye.
No, honestly, it's not that. Honestly,
I've got
no, Candace, I've got loads of things I want to talk to you about. It's not all about Ye by any means. I just know you know him, and I know him a bit, and I'm horrified by what I'm seeing. And I just think, I think it raises a lot of issues. One of which is just on a wider point, whether anyone who's got that kind of following should be able to be so brazenly anti-Semitic, putting swastikas on, saying he's a Nazi and so on, whether anyone should be allowed to do that. Actually, because by X's own rules, he breaks almost every rule they have. Most people would be suspended a long time ago.
Well, X allows pornography, so...
Well, they don't, though. They actually took him down last time for posting pornography, legal pornography, which was ironic.
There is pornography allowed on X. It's been something that we've been speaking out about and wondering why they allowed pornography. And it only becomes a discussion when Kanye shares the pornography. But we've been speaking about that since Elon Musk took it over. I think it's ridiculous that pornography is allowed. But we don't need to get into a discussion about X's policies and things of that nature because I've already given you my response on Ye. It's just not a relationship that I'm going to burn publicly because there are people who are sadists and like to see it.
I respect your right to do that. I do. Entirely down to you. You don't have to comment. I only asked you because, like me, you pretty well comment on everything else.
Okay, again, I am not understanding why. Where's the segment for the rap industry? Where is the segment for, like, even the Drake and Kendrick stuff, openly calling someone a PDF file? You know, I got it for YouTube. But somebody openly tearing down another Black artist like that, one Black artist to another, no segment about that. Nobody cares. It's always just around a certain groups. I won't just single them out because he does touch on, I'm not touching on it, but he does touch on the Arab community and what's happening to that guy that was arrested. But the point I'm making is he's going into what should be allowed. Well, again, you have rap music that is literally, people are killing each other in real time. And then they're using the lyrics to actually solve cases around murder and, sexual assault and all sex trafficking, all kinds of stuff. And no outrage, no segment, no question. Nobody says it's disturbing, no nothing. And it's just this continual double standard you see in America with what should be allowed in one community versus another. And I think it's just so biased, you know what I mean? And I think while I understand his point, and I think it's all wrong, I will say that over and over and over again. I think it's all wrong. But I just, like Candace, can't help but see the double standard. And for him to bring it up continually after she already made clear she didn't want to talk about it, it just shows how they disregard her allegiance to a fellow Black person, someone she has a relationship with, and someone she doesn't want to jump on the tearing him down bandwagon. And I just think it's pretty shameful. Honestly, I really do. Love to hear your thoughts on this part. We're going to jump into the next one. Let's go.
You've got 3 sons. I've got 3 sons. When I interviewed Tate and see other interviews with him, there's a lot I would agree with about how young men, this is why they gravitate to him, right? About taking care of yourself, working out, clean living, all that kind of stuff. That's all fine. And the sort of empowering language he uses, that's all fine. The big problem I have with him, putting aside all the allegations, which I just don't know the truth of them. Honestly, I just don't know. But putting all that aside, the sort of brazen misogyny that he comes out with, I don't like that aspect at all. As a mum of 3 sons who has, strong personal principles, what do you feel about that side of it? If they started, when they're older, watching Andrew Tate and he's saying women should stay at home and they should do this and do that, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not offended by the idea that women should stay home. I think that's great. My grandmother stayed home, and I told you I'm not a modern feminist, so that doesn't offend me. But to your other points, I know what you're referring to, and what I've always maintained is that Andrew Tate and his brother were actually a response to a misandrist culture, women that hated men. Before Andrew Tate, there was Lena Dunham. There was Lena Dunham saying terrible things about the patriarchy, about men ain't this. There were Beyonce albums, there were Taylor Swift albums, and people want to pretend that that's not relevant. Men were getting beat over the head over and over again for just being men, being told your tail needs to be between your legs at all times. There's just something wrong with masculinity. There were all of these fruity terms, toxic masculinity. And finally, you get some guys that stand up and they say, you know what? No, the girls suck. The girls are actually this. The women are not anything. And suddenly the culture goes, I don't know where this is coming from. Well, it came from toxic femininity, actually, is what bred this. And that's exactly actually one of the things that I'm bringing up in my book, which is publishing in a couple of months. Make them a sandwich. It gets into the history of exactly what we're speaking about. How did we arrive at this culture? Women produced it. So you
100% agree with her on this one because, again, another double standard. And we saw how tragic the Me Too movement was for a lot of people. I mean, some correctly judged and others not. You know what I mean? A lot of it was off of just public outrage. And you're seeing that with the Tates out loud in the open is a couple of years now and still no official charges laid. All just because these guys are loud, these guys are sometimes a little arrogant and have made their voices, very heard online. And a lot of people have jumped on the Tate's bandwagon. And right away, he says, how do you feel about this misogyny? Never once even thinking to himself, you know what? What she just said is the toxic femininity is actually what bred this culture of men saying, you know what? You guys suck. You guys are this. You guys are that. Because it seems like just being a man these days is against the law. It's under public scrutiny, left, right, and center. You had a Grammy-winning artist the other day saying a straight male is a red flag. Like this complete agenda that is being pushed against straight males. Just masculinity is just under attack, left, right, and center. And honestly, it has to be stopped. I'm not saying that I agree with everything the Tates say and do, again, but I think it is a result of what men were seeing in the conversations. And I agree with Candace there.
Can thank Lena Dunham's. If there's something that you don't like about what Andrew Tate says and why young men are following him, we've got to go backwards and take a look at the women who brought forth this modern feminist movement, which was really just about hating men.
I actually agree with you. I think you make a very good point there. I do think it was toxic femininity that led to the fight back. And it's tricky with the Tates because I do think some of the stuff they do strays into toxic masculinity by that definition. And it's just the misogyny stuff. If they cut that out, a lot of what they say about how young men should conduct themselves, I'm fine with. So no problem with it.
So I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these little subtopics today with Candace Owens and Piers Morgan. What did you think about the whole Kanye debacle? What do you think about Andrew Tate? Just to kind of go back to the Kanye West, I think it is a very, very sensitive issue. I think it's unlike anything we've ever publicly seen. He has exposed a lot. He's taken a lot of scrutiny. I think there's good reason for people to be really upset with him. However, I don't know if he has mental health issues or not. I don't know if he's manic, but if you've ever dove into MK Ultra and the residual effects of that, if he really has been through that, I don't know for certain, but if he has, there is good reason to believe that he's all jumbled up there. Like he may not be within his ability to even control these outbursts he has, and might be battling something way deeper. And I think it's is what she's kind of hitting on there. So those are my thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, I will see you on the next one.